I quit my toxic job without warning, and this is what happened next. I quit my job on a random Tuesday afternoon with zero warning, zero backup plan, and zero regrets. Well, almost zero. The final straw wasn't something dramatic like being screamed at in a meeting or publicly humiliated, though both had happened. No, the thing that pushed me over the edge was a microwave burrito. Yeah. That's the hook. A damn microwave burrito broke me. Let me explain. I worked at this soulless marketing agency in downtown Chicago. Gray walls, gray desks, gray people. It was the kind of place where dreams go to die and they don't even get a funeral. My boss, Doug, was the human embodiment of a soggy cornflake. Micromanaging, condescending, and always smelling like expired cologne and sadness. Doug was the kind of guy who'd schedule a 5:30 p.m. meeting on a Friday and then be shocked that morale was low. I was 3 years into that job. 3 years of ignored PTO requests, passive-aggressive Slack messages, and team-building events that felt more like hostage situations. But I stayed. I needed the paycheck. I needed the health insurance. I needed the illusion of stability. Until Tuesday. I was reheating a frozen burrito, my sad little lunch, when Doug came into the break room. He saw me standing there, tired, hollow-eyed, waiting for the microwave to beep, and said, "You know, if you spend half as much energy on your projects as you do warming up your food, maybe you'd actually get promoted someday." The room went dead quiet. The intern who was grabbing a soda just froze. I stared at Doug. Then at the burrito. And that's when I realized I'd rather be homeless than keep doing this. I didn't say anything. I didn't shout. I didn't even finish heating the damn burrito. I just walked past Doug, went to my desk, packed up my things, tossed everything into my messenger bag except the company-issued laptop, and walked out. No goodbye email. No notice. Just silence. That was the last time I ever set foot in that office. But here's the wild part. When you leave a toxic job like that, you expect freedom. Relief. Maybe a few weeks of unemployment stress. What you don't expect is to unravel a mystery that flips your entire life upside down. Because quitting that job didn't just change my career, it accidentally pulled back the curtain on a secret I never saw coming. That afternoon, I went straight home, collapsed on the couch, and stared at the ceiling for what felt like hours. My roommate, Max, was out of town, so it was just me in the quiet. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I just kept replaying that moment, Doug's smug little face, the microwave, the smell of old coffee, and desperation. And then I started laughing. The kind of laughter that feels like you're exorcising a demon. It went on for a solid minute before I caught my breath and pulled out my phone. No voicemails. No texts. The job was gone. Just like that. But what came next? That's where this story gets weird. Later that night, I was digging through some old boxes in my closet. I wasn't sure why, maybe I was looking for inspiration, or maybe I just needed to feel like I was doing something productive. And that's when I found it. A flash drive. Black. Unlabeled. Just sitting there in a zippered pouch I hadn't opened since college. Weird, right? I plugged it into my laptop. Just one folder inside, titled "Do Not Open." I opened it. Because of course I did. Inside were hundreds of files. PDFs, photos. Videos. Spreadsheets. Stuff I didn't recognize, and definitely didn't remember saving. At first glance, it looked like some kind of data dump. Financial records. Employee lists. Names and addresses. I saw a couple of familiar logos, big corporations, some I'd even done freelance work for in the past. And then I saw the name of the marketing agency I just quit. Not once. Not twice. Dozens of times. Some of the files were tagged with phrases like black budget, internal risk, compliance review. And then one file made my blood run cold. Internal report, employee anomaly, my name. I opened it. And what I read made me physically nauseous. Because apparently, I wasn't just another overworked employee. They were watching me. Tracking me. Logging every keystroke, every Slack message, even private texts sent during work hours. They had surveillance logs. Audio transcripts. One document even listed the contents of my personal Google Drive. How the hell did this get on my flash drive? Had I copied it during some late-night overtime binge and forgotten? Had someone planted it? I sat there, trying to make sense of it all. My heart was racing. My fingers were cold. Then my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, a text came through. You weren't supposed to see that. I stared at the text on my screen like it was a ticking bomb. You weren't supposed to see that. Just 7 words. But they were enough to send a chill crawling down my spine. Who the hell knew I had opened the flash drive? Who was this? And how the hell did they get my number? I didn't respond. I didn't move. I just sat in my apartment, heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears, waiting for anything, to happen. Then, about 20 minutes later, I heard it. A soft knock at the door. 3 taps. Polite. Not urgent. But something about them felt wrong. I crept over to the peephole and looked out. Empty hallway. No footsteps. No voices. Just the faint hum of the hallway light. I waited a minute, then slowly opened the door. No one was there. But something was. A manila envelope. No name. No label. Just sitting there like a threat wearing office attire. I picked it up with trembling hands and brought it inside. Inside was a stack of printed documents, some of the same ones I had seen on the flash drive. But these weren't copies. These were marked up. Redacted sections, notes in the margins, scribbles like someone had been reviewing them under extreme stress. But that wasn't the part that got me. Tucked into the bottom of the stack was a photo. A grainy black and white still, like it had been pulled from a surveillance feed. It was me. Standing in the break room at the office. Microwave burrito in hand. The timestamp? 11:36 a.m. The exact moment Doug had made that comment about me being lazy. I dropped the photo like it was acid. Someone had been watching me. Not just digitally, physically. And this wasn't just paranoia. This was real. I needed answers. But first, I needed help. I called the one person I knew wouldn't think I was crazy, Max. Max and I had been roommates for 2 years. We weren't best friends, but we got along. He was ex-military, now working cybersecurity for a private firm, and the kind of guy who had backup plans for his backup plans. If anyone could help me make sense of this, it was him. He was still out of town, but I told him everything about quitting, the flash drive, the envelope, the photo. There was a long silence on the line. Then Max said something I'll never forget. Pack a bag. Get out of the apartment. Right now. I blinked. Wait, what? You're compromised, he said, suddenly in full tactical mode. If they know what you've seen, and they've already been tracking you, you need to assume you're under surveillance right now. Jesus of Max, are you serious? As a heart attack. Go to my cousin's place, remember James? The guy who lives in Wicker Park above the record store? Tell him I sent you. Stay off your phone. Don't go home after. Don't go to your favorite coffee shop. Just vanish for a couple days. My stomach turned. What the hell is going on? Max's voice dropped. I don't know. But if they had a file labeled employee anomaly on you? This isn't just a bad boss situation. You stumbled into something big. And these people? They don't like loose ends. So I ran. I shoved some clothes into a backpack, grabbed the flash drive and the envelope, and left everything else. I turned off my phone, took the back stairwell out of the building, and started walking. I didn't feel human. I felt like a fugitive in my own city. I rode the Ellen loops for an hour, changing lines at random, just trying to shake whatever tail I might have had. At one point, I swear I saw someone in a dark coat watching me from the far end of the platform, but maybe that was just the paranoia kicking in. Eventually, I made it to James's place. He was cool about it. Said Max had texted him with a heads up, and he cleared out his spare room. I crashed on the futon, barely able to sleep. My mind kept spinning. Why was I being tracked? What did they want? How long had this been going on? I dozed off around 4 a.m. When I woke up, James handed me a burner phone Max had overnight via courier. It came with a single message. Found something. Meet me tomorrow. 8 p.m. Millennium Park. Come alone. So I did. The next evening, I showed up early, scanning every shadow, every person on their phone, every jogger, every guy in a hoodie. Paranoia had its claws in me now, deep. Max showed up on the dot, wearing sunglasses and carrying a laptop bag. We sat on a bench facing the bean. Tourists snapped photos around us. It felt absurd, like we were two spies trying to blend in with the crowd. He pulled out the flash drive, plugged it into his laptop, and got to work. I scrubbed the metadata, he said, eyes flicking across the screen. These files weren't downloaded by accident. Someone copied them to your flash drive. What? Max nodded. Looks like your USB was plugged into a secure terminal at 3:43 a.m. on April 18th. That's impossible. I wasn't even at work that day. Exactly. Which means someone planted this for you to find. I stared at him. Why the hell would they do that? Max looked up. That's the million-dollar question. But I'm starting to think someone inside the company was trying to blow the whistle and they used you as the exit plan. I felt sick. Okay, I said. So what do we do? Max leaned in. We find out what they're hiding. And then we burn them to the ground. The next morning, we went to war. Metaphorically, for now. Max and I set up shop at this no-name coffee spot in an alley behind a bike repair shop, one of those places with no Wi-Fi, no receipts, and a guy behind the counter who looked like he'd seen some stuff. It was perfect. Max had built a virtual sandbox on his laptop, isolated, untraceable, and we started combing through the files. Line by line. Byte by byte. At first, it looked like typical corporate sleaze, offshore accounts, fake LLCs, tax evasion tricks. I mean, I knew the company was shady, but I didn't think they were Bond villain shady. But then we found the project. That's literally what it was labeled, Project Liinal. We cracked into a set of password-protected files, and what we found was enough to make Max sit back in his chair and whistle low. This wasn't just fraud or embezzlement. This was human testing. Let me break it down. Project Liinal was run through a shell nonprofit. Officially, it was a study on behavioral optimization in corporate environments. But once you peeled back the legalese, it was clear they were using employees as lab rats. The company had been collaborating with a defense contractor, one of those alphabet soup agencies that doesn't officially exist. Together, they were testing stimulus-based conditioning models on real employees without consent. Translation? They were screwing with us. Deliberately. Tightening deadlines. Triggering conflict. Messing with our time cards. Sending fake HR memos to stir anxiety. Even planting employees, yes, plants, to spread gossip, manipulate morale, and track reactions. Every email I'd gotten from Jane in HR about performance concerns? Fake. The wellness survey that asked weirdly specific questions about my childhood? Also fake. They were mapping psychological profiles. Building some kind of algorithm to predict and shape employee behavior. Stress levels. Loyalty. Decision-making under pressure. And I wasn't just a random test subject. I was their control variable. According to the files, I'd been flagged early on. Unaffected by peer manipulation, one report said. Displays self-directed motivation. Resistant to suggestion stimuli. They didn't like that. So they pushed harder. More pressure. More isolation. Even Doug had been given a script. His job was to erode my confidence, increase dependency on management, and discourage external connections. I wasn't just being bullied. I was being programmed. But it backfired. Instead of breaking down, I broke out. Quitting without warning? That wasn't in their model. That's when the red flags went up and someone inside must have seen it coming. Someone who slipped that flash drive into my stuff, hoping I'd figure it out. Max stared at the screen like he was staring at a ticking nuke. This isn't just a lawsuit, he said. This is black site material. If this leaks, the whole board's going down. And if they think you are the leak. He trailed off. I didn't need him to finish. That night, I crashed at Max's cousin's place again, tossing and turning on the futon while my brain replayed every moment from that job through a new lens. The fake promotions I was dangled but never given. The creepy questions during performance reviews. The random fire drills during crunch time. All of it manufactured stressors. Controlled variables. They didn't want productive employees. They wanted predictable ones. At 2:43 a.m., I got a text from a blocked number. You need to stop digging. Attached was a photo. Me and Max sitting at the cafe. Taken from across the alley.